Hey, it's Lowry Smith of the CommanderSmiths here with Switcheroo. Tonight, I'm going to be taking at least these three decks and putting new cards in there. Hopefully, this is just kind of that you get new cards, you want to put it into a deck, and let's see if there's a spot for it or an upgrade or something different. And I think it's we'll see. We'll see how this goes, right? Uh, Thanks for watching and coming and checking out what the heck this is gonna be happening. And so just letting you know, the Commander Smiths is a podcast. We release every Wednesday, and then also you can find us on YouTube, the whole thing, and then we also break up the segments and put them out. It's kind of fun. Adam does proxies, so all of these decks have proxies. If he's made them, they're in there. If not, some it's not full proxies by any mean, there's plenty of real cards. Um, but Adam makes proxies on Sunday nights. He live streams that as well, and he does some really good work. We talk about cards on shorts if you want to check that out on YouTube as well. And then on Thursday nights, like right now, I try and one of us at least tries to stream and do something about building decks and stuff like that. So we're always trying to stay active and doing, magic stuff because it's kind of what we enjoy. Um, just kind of waiting to see if people can hop on or whatnot. But I don't know if there's a preference. Whoever's here, you can say what you want to see that I work on first, since you're here. Uh, Hello, Mr. Dempsey. Yes, I hope you're wearing a robe as well. I always wear a robe. I got a tiger one, as you can barely see right there. It's kind of like a wizard sleeve. Oh, that's gross. Um, and so can you hear me? I just want to make sure that you can hear me instead of like last time I kind of screwed that up a little bit. Um, Real quick, talking about the decks. So I try and generally build with whatever the commander or legend can kind of do. Okay, so Trelasarra is going to be a life gain deck that scries me some cards, puts counters on it. So I try and put some synergies in there that are going to work with that. Rienne is going to have a bunch of multicolored creatures, and then you sacrifice them and kind of do that. And then Kenrith is an anti-landfall deck that actually helps people ramp. Awesome. Thank you. And so this is probably the more unique out of what's going on, but this one has the most cards that I need to like switch around because I built this during the summer and haven't really touched it. But there's a lot of cool cards that acquired and wanted to add in. Steven, is there a deck you want me to start with? And I know there's a little bit of lag here too. So the if there is something that when you're messing around with decks and trying to add cards in or cut down, if you ever have any questions, put something in the comments and I'll try and do my best. Maybe something will be said during this process as well. So that's kind of, just part of what I'm trying to do is help people learn how to cut and change cards, change their decks a little bit. Uh, and then also understand that each one of these will have chapters. So if you check in the links, if this is not live, you'll be able to go to whatever decks you want to watch. A lot easier. Steven, this Kenrith is an anti-landfall deck. So whenever opponents put lands into play, something bad happens for them or something good happens for me. And then it's also kind of like a life gain drain deck. So it's something pretty fun. Let's start with Kenrith, right? So I'll set these off to the side. And let's go through the deck first, and then we can kind of talk about the cards that we want to add. So we're going to go through Kenrith. I'll go through kind of quick on some of this stuff. Mana Crypt is just I try and not add into all my decks because it's really powerful and it can kind of warp the game. And But if a deck is slow, I'll add that in. It's not something to make me super duper fast. It's something to just make me, just kind of in there, making sure that I'm not falling behind either. Dense foliage. I don't have a lot of. Um, I put this in decks where I don't have a lot of spot removal. It's perfect in those kind of decks. Omniscience is because I got a lot of enchantment love in here, and it's a sweet card. I do have, because of Kenrith, I try and lower the um, have cards like Zerta in here that reduce this cost. And so I also try and have creatures that kind of do that thing. Gretchen, Titch Willow is pretty solid in here. Doubling mana is always good. Mary's Wake, awesome. So Zerto, like I said, reducing the cost of activations. Veto is going to gain me when I'm gaining life. One white gains me 5 life. That'll drain them. So I like that card in there. Assassin's Trophy, it's removal, but also I'm having them put a land into play, which is something that I want. Polluted Bonds. Whenever an opponent has a land go into play, they lose 2 life. I gain 2 life. So it's part of that. Seedborn Muse gives me a ton of ramp just on tapping. Winds of Abandon has my opponents put a ton of lands into play. Necrotic Sliver is kind of like activated ability, but just kind of like a catch-all removal. Soul Ring, Runic Armasaur. I'm going to try and speed this up because we got 3 decks that I want to do. So drawing cards is the reason. The deck is a little slow, so Propaganda, Ghostly Prison are both in here. Shattered Angel, they put a land into play. I gain 3 life, so it works both ways. New Frontiers is really cool because that everybody gets to put X land into play, and then you either are ramping yourself, and they can choose not to put lands into play, which is a really good rate, or something bad is happening for them. Top goes to prison. Cindervines is whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, it deals 1 damage to them. This is kind of just like removal and a little bit of burn, but it's nice. It works. Spell Skite is protection. Wilderness Reclamation is also just ramp, being able to use mana over and over and over. Sanctum Weaver adds a ton of mana for all the enchantments I have. Mangara is just kind of there to draw me cards on a consistent basis, and it's not super threatening, but it's also a blocker. It's kind of nice. Tainted Remedy is whenever they gain, an opponent gains life, they lose that much life instead. Target player gains 5 life, so you can target yourself or them, so it works both ways there. Pretty cool. Sire of Stagnation, whenever they have a land come into play, they exile 2 and you draw 2. It's pretty sweet in this deck. Awakening is just trying to get more untapped land. Aura of Silence is to slow my opponents down, but also just some removal there. Some protection with Shalai. Chromatic Lantern is fixing mana and a little bit of ramp. Druid class is there to gain me life for land coming into play, but also playing more lands if I get to that point. Just making Mirror Mage is just copying enchantments or artifacts. That's what I do. So the Enchanter is a tutor in the deck, but it's slow. It's very fair in my opinion. Confounding Conundrum will bounce all of their lands if they use some of the stuff like New Frontiers putting lands in. They'd all recognize and they'd all go back to their hand. So they would choose not to, and you just ramp. Classic draw a spell. Rites of Flourishing allows them to play 2 lands per turn, but also helps you draw cards. False Cure, you can do this and till end of turn, you can have them gain a ton of life, but lose 2 per. Draw protection on my enchantments because I got a bunch there. Arcane Signet, this one is gorgeous. Very similar to New Frontiers, but put a bunch of basics into play, everybody. Teferi's Protection. This is one that a proxy that Adam did. They're pretty sweet. And they're clearly not real. That's one thing. We take a real card, but it's we just tape paper to it. So makes it very obvious that it's fake. But Teferi's Protection is great protection, lowering activation costs. putting opponents putting land into play, but also removal. Whenever they have a land come into play, they lose a life, put a 1/1 counter on it. This one is okay. It's kind of expensive. Whenever I gain life, they lose life. You can have them lose that ramp. Land comes into play for anybody, 2 damage to them. It's sweet. Esper Sentinel is fantastic for draw. Inspiring Call, I can put 1/1 counters on target creature. Then that allows me to draw cards and make it indestructible for a turn. It's pretty nice. Path to Exile, this is not one that Adam did. It's decade old at this point. Zozu is 2 damage. It's sweet. Sakura Tribuilder is some nice ramp, and you can recur it with Kenrith if you're getting late game. Tunnel Ignis does a lot of damage to opponents, gaining life with artifacts going, destroying them. And that's pretty nice. Ristic Study. This is one that Adam did. That is a proxy that he did. It's sweet. Open the vaults just in case anybody gets rid of all your enchantments. Copy enchantment. That is not one that Adam did. Training grounds. Reducing the cost. Phyrexian Arena. And Viz Copa, Guild Mage. Whenever you gain life this turn, each opponent loses life that much life turn. So this is there because of Shalai. You don't have to target your opponent. And so very beneficial there. That seemed like a pretty tight list. I am not sure what I'm even going to add. So Kenrith. All right, let's see here. So Acidic Soil, I was thinking 1 damage to each player for each land he or she controls. Um, I think that'd be kind of cool. And then maybe I'm ramping. It might not be a lot, but 3 mana is not bad. Scholar of Athreos. Each opponent loses 1 life. You gain life equal to the life lost. And, that could just be 1 black in this deck pretty easy. It's a nice blocker at the beginning. I think that could fit in there somewhere nicely. Aethersworn Educator. This is probably just kind of removal that I'm thinking about, but it is kind of expensive at 5. I can recur it if I need to. And being able to destroy target creature enchantment and being able to untap it quite a bit, pretty easy, is potentially nice. Thrashing Brontodon. One thing that's nice about Kenrith is you can recur those sack creatures. So being able to have a 3/4 decently early, get rid of an artifact or enchantment, and then bring this back when I need to late game if I have to. I think I really like Visions of Ruin. I haven't played it yet, but right now, Visions of Ruin is 4. You get 3 treasures, and then another red because you got 3. This is reduced by 5, and so you have 3, 4, 5. So it'd be 2 red in addition, essentially, to this, and you're getting another 3 artifacts or artifacts. So this card seems sweet in this deck. We'll see where it goes. Nice ramp. Dire Strain Rampage. So it's destroy target artifact, enchantment, or land. And if land is destroyed this way, its controller may search their library for up to 2 basic land cards, put it into the battlefield, tap, and shuffle. Otherwise, the controller may search for a basic land, put it in the battlefield. And it has flashback. It's giving them lands. It's dealing with whatever I need to. Seems kind of like a cool card here. Probably trash everywhere else. Crucible Worlds. I've probably wanted to try and get this in this deck for a long time, and I'm not sure if I'm going to either. Exploration, maybe. Estrid's Invocation is just another copy enchantment effect. Avatar of Growth. It costs 1 less for each opponent you have, so it'd be really green, colorless for a 4/4 trample. And then when it enters the battlefield, each player searches their library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them into the battlefield, then shuffle their library. Um, each player shuffle or searches their library for up to 2 basics. And so they can choose if they want to or not, but it's a cool card to kind of just ramp you. And then clear the land. Each player reveals the top 5 cards of his or her library, puts it into play tapped, all land cards revealed this way, and remove the rest from the game. So this kind of forces people to put lands into play. And we'll see. We'll see where we can go here. Let me just put those down below so we can see them a bit. Probably my strongest bit here would be, let's see here. Splay them out a little bit just so I can see them, and as I'm going through, see what would be a good replacement. All right, Steven saying, I have played the Aethersworn in a few decks. I've cut it in every time. I find it way too slow to use for targeted removal. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking too. Where's that guy right here, Aethersworn? And so it is pretty slow. Here I do have the cost reducers, and that's probably the only thing that I'm thinking of is like being able to pay a blue, untap it, and destroy something. But we'll see. I have a feeling I kind of like where I'm at, especially with that sliver. Guild Mage is fine. Arena. Do I have any draw here? I probably won't take out any of my draw things. Training Grounds is great. Copy Enchantment. Open the vaults. I need that. Mystic Study. Seeds of Innocent is great removal. Yeah, yeah. Zozu. Path is great here. Inspiring Call. Esper Sentinel is crazy. Felwar Stone. Sanguine Bond. This is kind of a tight list. Okay, so Nightshade. Harvester. I already said that it was kind of like, eh. But I don't have anything that's really. Oh, you know what? Right off, Steven, I still tap creature. So it in this deck, Steven, it's not 6 mana. It'd be blue because I have a lot of cost reducers for the activated abilities just because it works with Kenrith. And so it'd be blue and then black, white, tap it, destroy something. So it'd be 3 in this deck, but still 5 mana for a 4/4 is pretty late. That's when I want to be ramping. Um, I'll agree with you and just kind of get rid of it right now. I'm not going to fight with you or anything on it either. I think I'm just going to get rid of Crucible of Worlds as well off the top. I don't think I don't purposely put a lot of lands in the graveyard, so I'm not going to worry about it. I'm ramping a ton. Okay. And so acidic soil is just something that I'm trying to think of, like I just want to end the game a little bit quicker or like not target. But let's say that's on the chopping block. Settle the Wreckage is great. Biomancer's Familiar works. Teferi's Protection is fantastic. Sometimes when you have those like tight decks, you kind of need those really good cards. And this is one of them. And I do want this to be a little bit more competitive, especially since I'm ramping everybody else. Um, let's see here. Collective Voyage, I like. Arcane Signet is good. Karmic Justice, I like it, but it's not. It's not. I mean, it's cool. It's cool. Let's have it there. Let's draw. That's some life loss. Rites of Flourishing is some good stuff here. Mystic Remora, Confounding Conundrum is crazy in here. I said I wasn't going to do anything with the draw. I think we're like that. So the Enchanter is good. Mirror Maid, gaining life. I don't know. Druid class. I mean, gaining 1 per isn't a whole ton. It might just be all right to upgrade to an exploration. So Chromatic Lantern's good. All right. Min is cool for putting lands into play. Just saw someone post it on Twitter, especially if you draw a lot. This deck doesn't draw a whole ton other than like using his ability. And there's a few cards in here that'll draw a ton, but it's Min. Min is whenever you draw your second card, you get to put a 1/1 illusion, and whenever an illusion you control dies, um, put a land, something from your hand, but basically a land. I don't think that fits in here. So but Min is cool. It's a cool card. I just don't think it fits here in this deck. Yeah. It's a pretty cool one. I think this is Proxy was made by Anim as well. All right, Shalai is great. Or of Silence. I love this card. It's so good. But it's okay. Like maybe that goes for like removal with Visions of Ruin. But right now I'm just kind of going through and seeing what I'm okay with. I don't know. I don't really like Awakening here. Um, because I am giving so much to my opponents or when I can, and then having them untap that stuff can be brutal. So Sire Stagnation, Tainted Revenue, Mangara's really good, Sanctum Weaver's crazy, Wilderness Reclamation, Spell Skite, Cinder Vines could be something that potentially goes as well. Ghostly Prison, Top, New Frontiers, Shattered Angel. All right. Last little batch here. Propaganda, Runic Armasaur. One thing that I was saying, like the deck is kind of slow. And so I need blockers. And then this one draws me. So that's kind of the stuff like I'm looking for something that's kind of cheaper, can block, and has some utility to it. Something that comes down before Kenrith. It's pretty nice. Soul Ring, Chronic Sliver. That's just solid removal that can be recurred. Oh, Winding Seaborn Mute, Polluted Bonds, Assassin's Trophy, Veto, Zerta, Ferrari's Wake. Gretchen is good. So Omniscience, I think. Let's see. I like it. I still like it in here, and I can get rid of it. These are cards that I would probably consider at this point. All right, where? Oh, I'm falling behind on the chat here. Okay. Yeah, okay. Just always end up cutting Awakening. I like it, but I think I want something else. So I got plenty of choices here. All right, let's see. So you may play an additional land on each of your turns. Let's see here. So I think I just need to make that decision between Druid class and Exploration. They're both really good. Exploration is clearly the like I know I'm saying clearly, but it is just a better card. One man is crazy. I still have the enchantment. Cemetery Gatekeeper can act as a one-sided Zozu. Which I don't know if I know Cemetery Gatekeeper. What is its I will write that down. All right. Cemetery Gatekeeper. All right, I got that down. I don't know what that is right now, but I'll check it out. Uh, it's this one is just a proxy. So I don't have a ton of altars. I do have an altar of exploration, but maybe I'll grab that and show it in a little bit after maybe the deck. So what do you guys think in the chat here? Do you think Druid class or exploration? We'll set that off to the side. We'll make that choice, that cut. I think this one's going to be really good. So is there something in here that's going to allow me to do something about that? This is losing one life. This is kind of that might be similar. It's a little bit cheaper. It can block. It doesn't become big, but I'd be able to pay, black, lose a life, gain a bunch. And I think that works pretty well as well. Might go with those right there. All right. So let's look at our removal. So for Cinder Vines, Aura of Silence, and Karmic Justice, we're probably looking at Dire Strain Rampage, Visions of Ruin, and Thrashing Brontodon. So this can be anything. This is Karmic Justice is whenever a spell or ability. I have a lot of enchantments. So if they destroy an enchantment or all of them, I can just destroy a ton of their stuff. It's okay. So it's from Crimson Vow. I know that set very well at this point, even though it's been out a little bit, but I'll have to check that out. Thanks for the suggestion. Um, I think I like Karmic Justice in this deck for now. Dire Strain seems like the worst out of this. I think we keep Karmic Justice, and I think we keep Aura of Silence. Okay, so I was talking about I want cheap blockers at the beginning. We're gonna get rid of Dire Strain Rampager. Or Rampage. I don't think I like that. I'm thinking I'd probably go Visions of Ruin with Cindervines. And I already have a lot of hate where people like I play something and just really don't like it. And so Aura of Silence is kind of that card. And so these two might go if that makes sense. Like I'll be able to hit a bunch of artifacts that way. I am kind of losing enchantments, but Thrashing Brontodon's kind of there and recurable, and I have some other just okay. So I think we're starting to get a couple of changes here on that. Crimson Vow. Boom, boom. So we got these four. I don't know if that's gonna work. I definitely what are the cards that I want to force in here? I want to force at least these two that I really want to get them in. These ones I don't this one's loose. I don't know if I really care about that one. And Clear the Land is maybe just a bad card. Which is fine. All right, let's just cut Acidic Soil. I think that just kind of goes for now. Mana Crypt, I think it's hard to cut. It's hard to cut. Avatar of Growth. Let's put that in for Awakening. Avatar Growth gets me those lands. Awakening is just helping. They're both helping out my opponents quite a bit. And Omniscience is really good. Really good in this deck. I don't have it in any other decks, and I don't play it a whole ton, but it can start getting you going. Because then you can just like put a ton of mana into drawing and then playing it for free. And I'm not entirely sure what I want to do there. So right now, I have these right now. All right, yeah, I'll play it in Mogus. Puts work in if you get it early. Let's kind of go through. I'm trying to get Estrid's Invocation in here somehow. And let's see. That's foliage. You need, if Kenrith isn't on the battlefield, it's kind of a problem. Is there? Let's see here. I took all the lands out clearly just to make it more efficient when we're doing this kind of thing. Maybe I should get like Bear Umbra in here, or so there's a potential to put Bear Umbra or Feast and Famine in for Awakening, just being able to untap lands, that kind of effect. And I do like having that happen. Mary's Wake is quite good, right? Yeah, it is. That might be something that goes in for like Bear Umbra or something like that too. But let's see here. Wangara the Diplomat, Wilderness Wreck, Spellskite is really nice. Shalais or the Enchanter. Zerg kind of feels like cheating. Zer has potential to go away. Let's see here. False Cure, Bounding Conundrum, Arcane Signet. Open the Vaults. Open the Vaults might turn into like Dance with the Manse. That card's really good too. I love Dance with the Manse. Ristic Study. Seeds of Innocence. Is there any other draw in here? No. So the times I try and find card like is our way to replace Ristic Study, because it could go in every deck, but you can get tired of it too. So Tunneling this, Sakura Tribe Elder, Zozu, Path to Exile, Inspiring Call, Esper Sentinel, Onk, bum, bum, bum. Okay. So the question ends up being like Zur the Enchanter is a tutor. It can get cards that I need, but it could also create like too much consistency. So I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. Let's get rid of that for now. Okay. Let's see here. Uh Corey's sitting here saying I gotta study the new sets or else he'll start sending flavor text over for the cards for Stump the Smith Savant. So they have to get over 5,000. So okay, for people that are listening and that don't know what Stump the Smith Savant is, Adam reads me the flavor text, and I get a couple of guesses, and I need to guess that card. And if I don't, we send cool cards. Like right now, it's sort of Hearth and Home. If somebody can stump me, they can get it, and nobody has yet. So we'll see how it keeps on going. Uh, so okay, just to stop from having multiple, the same thing happening over and over again, I'm going to cut Zer the Enchanter. That's going to stay in my pile though, because I still really like it in this deck. I double sleeve my decks because of the proxies, just as you can kind of notice there. So proxies are a bit thicker, and then being able to double sleeve what I have going on, that'll kind of create similar thicknesses and stuff like that. So that's all I was kind of worried about. The and I'll keep probably all of these cards around just in case they it doesn't quite work when I'm kind of tuning it. But that's just that's the thing. I'm not going to get rid of them super quick. So and these are just changes. They're different. They're making a little bit of differences. What's going on? Kenrith doesn't have a whole ton of synergy with enchantments per se, but just like the life gain, life drain style enchantments are kind of cool. And so that's why I ended up picking Kenrith. Pretty happy I didn't go with um Golos or anything. Then I'd have to probably not have to change it all up, but it wouldn't be as fun. So boom. And then let's get rid of anybody say sometimes I only need one guess for Stump the Smith Savant. That is correct. This last week, I heard it and knew it was Wasteland, and boom. And Steven is not happy about that. So we're going to be adding these cards back in. I think I've had Exploration in the deck beforehand, and that's okay. And so we can have that off to the side. Let's see if there's anything else that I can eye up and just be like, I don't like it. I can actually put away boom, boom, boom. I still will probably keep those three around. I'll keep a switcheroo area when I'm kind of get rid of Awakening as well. So keep these around, and then I can add them in or take them out if things didn't go right with the switching around. These ones I think are just gone. I don't think they're going to work. I don't think they're interesting. Something. I'll just say something mean about them. And that is Kenrith. So we'll work with that for now, and then hopefully I enjoy it. Okay, thank you, Steven. Yeah, I don't. Exploration is better, just cheaper. Being able to draw into it is and just play it super easy, and it basically replaces itself with land really quick. All right, gonna do a Rienne deck. I've had this for a long time, but it's very enjoyable. A lot of multicolored cards in here, and we'll just run through it real quick. Shield of Oversoul gives indestructible, and that's the big thing to Rienne, because without Rienne, the deck doesn't really work. So that works. Nova Blast Worm, it attacks and just destroys all creatures. That's sweet. Bloom Tender, just a bit of ramp in there. Birthing Pod is sacrificing multicolored creatures and getting other ones in play. Daryl is some draw. Guardian Project is draw. Chandra's Ignition. I don't care if my creatures die. A lot of things depend. I just target Rienne and it destroys all the other creatures or damages. And so my Wrath effects are trying to leave Rienne in play. So that's what I'm working for. Dauntless Escort sacrifices it. You can bring it back with Rienne. I should probably talk about Rienne, huh? So other multicolored creatures you control get +1/+0, but the big thing, whenever another multicolored creature you control dies, return it to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. So I don't care if my multicolored creatures die, because they come back into my hand and I want to be able to play them. So Dauntless Escort gives indestructible, top, reduces creature spells by one, and then gives +2/+2 and trample whenever I cast one. Rona's Monument. Monuments are sweet, except for the blue one, not so good. Bloodbraid Elf is like drawing cards in this deck. It's pretty sweet. Um, Fanatical Devotion, sack outlet to regenerate to protect Rienne. Ramp, ramp. Tragic Arrogance is another wrath that leaves Rienne and destroys everything else. Knight of New Alara gives some good pumps in this deck. All right, let's see here. Yeah. So, Shield of Oversoul, if you have a green-white commander, you should really consider putting Shield of the Oversoul in there, just giving it flying, giving it, +2/+2 and indestructible. It makes it a beast. Um, Divine Reckoning destroys all creatures, but everybody gets to choose one. It also has flashback. The Great Henge. This is one that Adam made a proxy of. It looks fantastic. Sakura Tribe Elder for ramp. Skull Clamp because those a bunch of creatures are dying. Throw a possibility. I just needed some cheap draw, so this might work. Natural Order is a sack outlet. This is a bad proxy. Well, this is probably one of my first proxies I ever did, and this is the only deck I've ever used Natural Order. But cards bonkers. Tome of the Guild Pact is whenever you cast a multicolored spell, draw a card, and then it taps for mana. It's okay, but it's draw. Crashing Drawbridge, giving haste to those creatures that I'm playing. Sylvan Library. I need to get Adam has a different proxy. This is an old school one. Safi Eric's daughter sacrifices itself to save one of your creatures. It's sweet. Fabro Elder is great ramp in this deck. Dockside Extortionist, no surprise. Basilisk Caller, um, because I like it probably. That might be loose in here. Sword of Light and Shadow. This is an old proxy, not that Adam's going through the swords right now, so hopefully he gets one of these here. But this is bringing creatures back if I don't have Rienne in play. Elemental Bond. Draws me cards for whenever a power 3 or greater comes into play, and it would recognize the pump from Rienne, so just pointing that out. Rhythm of the Wild is makes my creatures uncounterable and then can give them haste or a 1/1 counter. I am recasting my creatures a ton, so Karametra gets me a lot of ramp. Faithless Looting is just some draw, just trying to draw. Duger Hedge Mage destroys an artifact and enchantment if you meet the requirement. Voice of Resurgence. This is not an Adam proxy, but it's a sweet card, sweet looking one. And so this is when it dies, it creates a huge token essentially. Shielded by Faith gives Rienne indestructible. It's an aura that can kind of float around. It's pretty cool. Gerard Weatherlight Hero is like basically when you're doing your wraths, and if this is in play, this will get exiled, but everything else comes back into play. Akroban's Will is bonkers, double strike, indestructible, lifelink. You're ending the game on that. Blasphemous Act works with this. It's regenerating, gain 4 life. Merith. So basically, you can pay 3 to bring it into play, take 3 off to create creatures or deal damage, and then it just goes back into your hand. It's kind of a cool one. Promise of Loyalty is a wrath leaving Rienne around. Chaos Warp is just really good. Mirar's Wake is needed because you're potentially recasting a ton of creatures at a point. Nature's Lore for ramp. Huntmaster of the Fells is a proxy before Adam started, and it's I kind of boop boop. So, and this is it's a really good card in here too. Just getting you a bunch of life and tokens. Kasali Pride Mage is fantastic removal. Vithian Renegades is fantastic removal. Sneak Attack is great. This is not an Adam proxy. A lot of not Adam proxies in this one. But this card's bonkers in Rienne deck. Realm Razor is super cool. So this is it's land removal, but then you sacrifice it, get your land back at the end of your turn, or at the beginning of your turn, play your turn, get this back into play, do its thing. Lashed is just kind of a different version of that. So you get a bunch of counters on it, take it off, make tokens and stuff like that, get it back after you're out. Knight of Autumn is removal essentially in this deck. Tollsmere is fighting, so also removal. Eldritch Evolution is sack outlet and a tutor, kind of like natural order, like a bad one. This is a beautiful looking card, but it reduces green and white spells by 1. So Selvala is kind of draw in this deck, but also multicolored. Harmonic Sliver is removal. Evolutionary Leap is a sack outlet, plus getting creatures um, into my hand. Sack out to Paradise, and I don't have a new one for that either. But Adam does have that. All right, let's see here. Let's talk about the cards I want to try and get in that are new or whatever. That's a foil version, so I can just easily slip that in. General Furious Ruckrick. So this is whenever I'm casting a multicolored spell, I create a 4/4. So just creating a little bit more of an army. Scout's Warning allows me to cast creatures at instant speed and drawing a card. Storm of Souls is return all creatures, but they're 1/1 spirits with flying in addition to their other types. Exile Storm of Souls. So they're still multicolored creatures, and when they die, they'd come back. Like, this seems pretty sweet in here. Tauren's Fist of the Angels. So whenever you cast a creature spell, create a 1/1 green and white human. So they're getting that pump, the +1/+0. And then probably also being able to put 1/1 counters on it. And Odric, Blood Cursed, is going to create a lot of blood tokens. Maybe not a lot, but I don't know how many I need. So kind of cool. We'll see what kind of goes through there. Shuffle this up so it's a little bit different. Let's see here. We have something, creating tokens. That's just going in. This is a little bit of recursion. Flash speed. I don't know how important that is going to be in here. And then this is just like draw selection. So let's see what we can do here. That's protection, ramp. I like that. You need a certain amount of sack outlets and stuff like that. So I don't know. Evolutionary Leap. I still like that one. That puts stuff in my hand. Harmonic Sliver. I like that as removal. Karametras, really good. Selvala. I'm not super keen on it, but it's a good blocker at the beginning of game, and I think we're good for now on that. That's the Beatles fine. Rhythm of the Wild. Eldritch Revolution or Evolution. I like that. Boom. So maybe, just maybe, Sword of Light and Shadow can get out. Storm of Souls can go in. Just that like slight bit of recursion. Like I said, I don't really know why Basilisk Collar's in here. It might be a leftover from what was happening before. So I think we can cut that. Tollsmere's pretty solid. Removal, kind of like tokens and removal. Dockside feels like cheating. Ramp, recursion, draw, haste, draw, tutor. Main possibility. This is draw. Does that matter? 2/2. It's probably fine for now. Skull Clamp is good. Realm Razors, solid. Sneak Attack. Fithian Renegades. Let's just change that out right now. Picked up the a foil, just going through bulk bins, and I enjoy doing that stuff. So let's see here. All right. I think for now we'll set these off to the side. I have a feeling I'm just not going to even try. Scout's Warning probably just doesn't have a chance when I'm looking at it here. Like, I don't know how much I care about the flash. The flash. Removal, ramp draw, removal, Knight of New Alara. Actually, that might be a good point. Let's see here. I think, let's see here. Thrill of Possibility might be okay to get rid of, but it might be Faithless Looting in that spot too, and switching in Audric. Knight of New Alara is a nice pump. It kind of just ends stuff a little bit. Tragic Arrogance, Huntmaster of the Fells, ramp, and boom. Marith. Marith doesn't get super big like Olash. Olash gets pretty big. Fanatical Devotion, kind of, that's fine for the tokens. Lockstone Hierarch is solid. Blasphemous Act. That might be a leftover part. Let's just see. Because before I had like Boros Reckoner in here, and so like these damage ones or damage wraths were what was in here, but I don't have those anymore. They are long gone. So Act might be worth getting out and rid of. I might have to go through and see how many wraths I have. Bloodbraid Elf still works. Ronus's Monument is solid. Top. Gerard Weatherlight Hero. Is there anything there that kind of works? Yeah. Indestructible is just nice to have on Rienne. Dauntless Escort is solid. Chandra's Ignition works. Voice of Resurgence. Duger Hexmage. Faithless Looting can be right there. Daryl is kind of sweet. And so right now, that is through the deck. Let's try and reduce this a little bit. So I think I still like Thrill of Possibility, but I think I'm willing to get rid of Faithless Looting and put in Audric the Blood Cursed, because he's cool. What he does is you make blood tokens for keywords essentially that are in play, and we have enough. And so, if this just comes into play and gets me like 3, I'm fine with that. And so right now, I think I'd be happy with this switch out. This is a little, this is slower, but it's nice protection. But this can just create everything coming back if somebody wants to mess around. And we'll go like that. And I just want to try this card out. I think it's kind of sweet. It's a nice thing. So we'll get that in there. All right. Basilisk Caller still work. Like Chandra's Ignition would just kill everything, with this. But I think since I can't put it on the Boros Reckoner, I'm just going to get rid of Scout's Warning. I don't think that's worth anything in there. Then right now, just got the token makers that are essentially, I kind of want to go through and just like see how many wraths I have at this point, just to make sure, like I don't care, but it feels weird taking out Blasphemous Act. So I have 1, 2, 3. Is 3 enough? And then I have Chandra's Ignition somewhere. Must have missed it. So I have 4. I'm probably happy with that, just to get more multicolored creatures in. Something different. That'll be a little weird, but I'm okay with that too. Like, this allows me to become a little bit more swarmy. And feels, I love Basilisk Caller. It's second favorite equipment there is. So there's that. All right. I think that's the second one right there. Kind of cruising a little bit, not doing too bad. And then it's kind of cool. I like that. I like that. All right. Let's see here. Last deck. Last deck's gonna be oh 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 not that one. We're gonna go with Trelasarra. All right. And so this one I have the most because I've done the least amount of work and I didn't I didn't have a lot of D&D stuff. I didn't go through. So let's kind of go through the deck real quick. So Trelasarra is whenever you gain life, put a 1/1 counter on Trelasarra and then scry 1. It's a 2/2. It can get big pretty quick. One thing to realize with this is often most, like 99% of cards that say like gain 2 life for every creature or whatever, that's still gaining all that life at one time. So it'll only trigger once. There are very few cards that allow triggers and life gain to happen separately. So that is one thing to think of if you ever build with this deck. But she's pretty cool, pretty quick. Um, you can in this deck I can draw a lot of cards, so Thought Vessel was worth a shot. Shamanic Revelation. This I don't have I don't go wide too much, but it's will gain me 4 life, and that's the reason why I kind of made it in there. Ramp for I use Sakura Tri Builder a lot, apparently. Essence Warden is whenever another creature enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life. This card is good, just like the other Soul Sisters, because it triggers for everybody. And each separate trigger, is one that triggers separately, makes Trelasarra bigger. Scavenging Ooze, not an Atom counter proxy, but gains you life. Graveyard Hates, solid card. Unflinching Courage. It makes Trelasarra when she's a 6/6 into an 8/8 trample life link. A lot of life gain here. Ajani is really good in life gain decks. If you don't have one, get one because you're gonna eventually build a life gain deck. I promise you that. Cultivate is just ramp. Armadillo Cloak is trample, life link, stuff like that. Angel of Destiny is kind of a cool card in here. It's going to be like a I win card, but whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you and that player each gain that much life. At the beginning of your end step, if you have at least 15 life more than your starting life total, each player that it attacked this turn loses the game. Doesn't have to deal damage, just has to attack. I easily can get over 15. So that can be nice. Great Henge is great card. Heroic Intervention is also a great card, just nice protection. Cursor of Crufix, landfall, gain a life essentially. Shalai is some good protection counters. Sun Droplet, you get each upkeep, you're going to gain a life essentially as long as there's damage counters on this. Austere Command is a wrath effect. And this really beat me up the last time I played Trelasarra because this is a low CMC deck and a lot of artifacts. And so what somebody chose was it killed all of my creatures and all of my artifacts, and I was at like 65 life, and the game was over for me. I was done. Blossoming Bog Beast was sweet. It attacks, you gain 2 life, and then for each life you've gained this turn, your creatures get trample and +X/+X. Konama's Reach, easy ramp. Soul Warden, another one where you're gaining life for creatures ETBing. Well of Lost Dreams is drawing cards off the life gain. One thing that you'll want to realize is there's not a whole ton of payoff, like a good payoffs for life gain. And so that was a little bit of a disappointing thing when I was building this deck, but it's still aggressive enough that people kind of go, oh shit, it's coming. So overwhelming stampede, all your creatures are going to be getting, +8/+8 or whatever pretty quick. I've even gotten this up to, a 24/24 pretty easy. So not pretty easy, but um it can get big. So Aura Shards is just removing artifacts and enchantments, not an Atom proxy. Savala, another one, just kind of like early potential ramp, draw. It kind of does a lot, and so it's kind of a cool card. Um, Aura Mutation creates tokens and destroys an enchantment, so it's kind of cool that way. Mentor of the Meek is drawing cards. Arim's Prayers. So this is one that I was kind of talking about. If a creature attacks you, gain 1 life for each attacking creature. And so this only triggers Trelasarra once. Um, and so the wording, just understand if you think it triggers a ton, it probably doesn't. So, but it's gaining me life, and that's worth it for his protection. This one, I believe, is an add-on proxy, but it's solid. Generous Gift is creating a creature for those Soul Sister cards, and then also just solid removal. Beast Within, same thing. Wall of Blossoms, just early a little bit of card draw, and then blocking. Because I don't care. I don't want to be aggressive with everything. I just want to be aggressive with Trelasarra. Guardian Project is drawing cards. Soul's Attendant is gaining me life. Soul Ring and Shield of Oversoul again. Just being able to give Trelasarra flying and indestructible is crazy good. Lightning Greaves is not a Atom proxy, but it is great either way. Rampant Growth is there. Sarah Ascendant is a crazy good card. This is not an Atom proxy. Way before he started making proxies, but um, you know, becoming a 6/6 pretty easy for one man is crazy. Or a Champion is another gaining life for creatures, ET being. Winds of Abandon is just a good like wrath card that is gonna, remove all of my opponent's creatures. Return Loudspeaker. So this one can draw cards equal to the greatest power among non-human creatures you control. That's kind of what this one is doing. And it draws, like I said, 6, 8, a ton of cards. Ivory Tower. At the beginning of your upkeep, you gain X life, where X is the number of cards in your hand minus 4. So this one, I think it looks pretty, and it totally makes sense in this deck. I just, if I draw a ton of cards, and then I get the Thought Vessel or Reliquary Tower or whatever in here, then I can just be gaining a ton of life. So, Ranger Captain of Eos. You can, when it comes into play, you go get a Soul Sister or the Sarah Ascendant. Cryptolith Right. It taps. You can tap a creature for any color mana. This is just in here for a bit of ramp, but also you have the Soul Sisters and just some cards that are just kind of sitting around and giving you value. And this is just a way to get extra value in the deck. Aether Flux Reservoir. You're gaining life. This is one of those payoffs where you can just freaking get somebody. Shadow Spear, Trample, Lifelink totally works in here. Resplendent Mentor. I should probably go and get this is an actual infinite life combo. Should talk about a little bit. Oh, right there. All right. So Mentor is whenever a creature you control, white creatures you control have tap, gain 1 life. Famished Paladin is it doesn't untap during your untap step. Whenever you gain life, untap Famished Paladin. So you tap it, gain 1 life, it untaps, and you can just rinse and repeat. So this is infinite life in this deck. Doesn't necessarily mean, you win the game, but it can. And each time that happens, you're triggering Trelasarra to get huge, and you can scry to whatever card you need to get to as well that way. Top, this is an Atom proxy. It's fantastic. Life Gift, whenever a land comes into play, you gain 1 life. That's your opponents, yourself, fetches, all that stuff. It's pretty cool. Beast Whisperers, just drawing cards. Ordeal of Nylea is pretty cool because whenever you attack, put a 1/1 counter on it, and if you have 3 or more counters on it, sacrifice it, and go and put 2 basic lands into play tapped. So this is 2 mana, 2 lands into play tapped. It's pretty good ramp in here. Jedi Offshoot, and this, okay, going back to this, any card or any commander that puts counters on itself and it's green, put this in there. It's the best ramp card. Swear to God. Jedi Offshoot, 03 Defender. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, gain 1 life. Perfect. Authority of Councils. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, you gain 1 life and they come into play tap. Great card. Wall of Reverence. You can gain a ton of life once Trelasarra starts getting huge. That's a 1/6, but it's you gain life equal to the power of target creature you control. Pest Infestation deals with artifacts, enchantments, and can create a lot of tokens, which can create, trigger the Soul Sisters a whole ton. Accomplished Alchemist, 2/5, tap it for 1 mana or for as much mana or as much life as you'd gain this turn. It's 4 mana. It's a little expensive, but um, very much on theme. Garrick Primal Hunter. Uh, Garrick is basically there to draw cards equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. That's huge. So, Swiftfoot Boots, Wall of Omens draws you a card. Ramp with Farseek. Suture Priest is whenever you have a creature. ETB, gain a life. Whenever an opponent has a creature come into play, they lose a life. Pristine Talisman taps to gain me a life. Ishkar's Expertise is drawing me a ton of card and then playing a free spell of 5 or less. And so Trelasarra is pretty cool, and I've enjoyed the deck a bit. Let's look at some of the cards. There is a fat stack. I'm not going to be able to get everything in there. So let's just go through this. Approach of the Second Sun. I can cast this Scry pretty quick in a turn or two and be able to cast it a lot quicker than 7 turns or whatever it is. So I kind of want to do that. Froghemoth is whenever it attacks or deals combat damage to a player, exile up to that many target cards from their graveyard, put a 1/1 counter, and if it's a creature, gain a life. You gain 1 life for each non-creature card exiled this way. So I was thinking that's kind of cool, kind of a different scavenging ooze, but we'll see. Investigator's Journal. Basically tap 2, remove a suspect counter, draw a card, and then you can draw a card off this. I kind of like this card. I just want to try it out. Kerberos. So this is being considered enters the battlefield with a number of, 1/1 counters on it. Remove a 1/1 counter from Kerberos. Prevent all damage that would be dealt this turn to another target creature with a 1/1 counter on it. So protecting Trelasarra. I don't know if I need that in here. We'll see. Torrens, just casting creatures, creating tokens, gaining life off those tokens. Onaganita. Trelasarra is going to be over 3, so it'll get +3/+0 and trample. Pretty easy, pretty cheap. That's just kind of what I'm looking at. Serene Steward puts a 1/1 counter if you pay a white whenever you gain a life. That's one of those payoff things. It's costs mana though. Ugh. Just a creature that gains life. Lifelink 1/1. Should be able to flip it. Turns into a first strike trample lifelink 4/4. Pretty cheap. I think that can work. Fountain of Renewal. At the beginning of your upkeep, gain a life. You can sack it, draw a card. War Room. I'll figure out how to get that in later. We're not going to look at lands. Abiding Grace. Either gain a life or bring a 1 or CMC 1 into the battlefield from a graveyard. We'll see if that works. Guardian Faith is kind of cool because it just phases out all the creatures that I want. And I don't know if it's actually going to fit in this deck. This one's not going to, we're not going to try it right now. I still don't have the faithless or the faceless land that they just banned. So that's what I want to do it with, along with Mutavault. Animation module. So whenever a 1/1 counter is put on Trelasarra, I can pay 1, create a token, and then maybe gain more life and kind of go on and on and on with the Soul Sisters. Should be kind of cool. Druid class, I know I just cut it, but this one's gaining me life whenever I have land coming into play. I think it totally works in here. Prosperous Innkeeper. Whenever I have a creature come into play, gain 1 life. Works. Cleric class, if you would gain life, you gain that much life +1 instead. And then whenever you gain life, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. It's like just Trelasarra. It seems like it'll be cool. Azusa's putting extra lands into play. That's if I'm like drawing a ton of cards. We'll see. I don't know if I want that one. Oracle of Moldiah, same thing. Soul's Majesty, drawing cards for the power. Should be able to do a lot. Nyx Fleece Ram is gaining me a life, and then it's a nice blocker at the beginning. Paradise Plume is comes into play, choose a color, which would probably be white in this deck. Whenever a player plays a spell of the chosen color, you may gain 1 life, and then it taps to add 1 mana of the chosen color. So, white or green. Uh, so the we'll see if that gets in there. Profane Memento. Whenever a creature card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, so milling. Um, and I know there's a black creature that kind of does this, and it's really nice in Yawgmoth and stuff like that. So I was just thinking that it could maybe work here. Staff of the Sun Magus. Whenever you cast a white spell or a plains enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life. And then Weather the Storm. Gain 3 life, but it has storm. So that would be separate triggers for gaining life. One thing about gaining life is you don't really want just cards that only gain you life because you can get trampled pretty easy that way. And so we'll see how much of this actually goes in there. There's a couple that I'm excited about and just trying, but we'll see. I got a bunch here. All right. Is there anybody? I think I'm just gonna get rid of Guardian of Faith. I think that one's done. I don't think that's gonna make it. Just trying to be quick about it. I also don't think Magus of the Sun or Staff of the Sun Magus is gonna make it. We'll get rid of that. Weather the Storm also. It's just life gain. Just doesn't do enough. And so boop, 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 just a fucking mess. Let's see here. Go boom, boom, boom. All right, all right, all right. Just fucking all over the place, right? All right. The list I know is it moves quick and it's tight, so I'm happy with it. But let's see what we can fit in here. Okay. Gaining life, losing life, ramp. Is there any ramp cards in here? Because I think, I have 3 or 4 of these, the 2 mana. I don't know if I need them fully in here. All right, I'll set them off to the side. I think they're fine, but I can potentially do something different there. Rishkar's expertise is crazy in here. Pristine Talisman works. Suture Priest is nice. Drawing cards. Because the walls are nice, but they're not like amazing either. All right. Protection, drawing cards, ramp. Pest infestation is nice removal. I don't think I have. I think I need that kind of removal. Wall of Reverence. I have a pretty low curve, and so like I was thinking maybe Nyx Fleece Ram because it comes down earlier, can gains me just that trigger. This can gain me a ton of life though, and it'll always gain me 1. It's 4 mana. It's fine that it's up on the curve a little bit in this deck. Um, we'll keep Wall of Reverence. Authority of the Council, Jetty Offshoot. This one's not doing a whole ton. That's Landfall for 1. Just looking around, see if there's. Like a big one that I want to get is I want to get Approach the Second Sun in here. That makes sense to me. Jetty Offshoot. Yep, that might be Nyx Fleece Ram. I'm okay getting rid of that. Ordeal Whisper, Life Gift, Top, Famished Paladin. I just like that little combo in there. I don't play a lot of combo, but that's a nice one. Shadow Spear makes sense to me. Aether, that's a payoff. A little bit of ramp. All right. I agree. So So, okay, Corey's saying that Aetherflux gets a little boring after a while. You say you gain a ton of life in this deck, but could swap for Second Son. I see what you're saying there. One thing that I was kind of saying a little bit earlier though is there's not a ton of payoffs for gaining life other than just having a ton of life. And so, especially like black decks have the ability to like use that life a little bit better. Um, and so I see what you're saying though, but also like the nice thing is just being able to cast a spell, gain a life, and trigger Trelasarra. I don't personally have it in a lot of decks. I think I have it in this and Feather, and that's it out of my 18 decks. And so I don't think I feel guilty playing Aetherflux, but it's a consideration. Thanks for bringing that up, Corey. Cryptolith is going to be some nice ramp. Um, Ivory Tower is just probably if it's just pure life gain. Um, could be Druid class. Could be Druid class over here. I kind of like that because like just does something a little bit more. I think I want Druid class. We'll get rid of Oracle and Azusa right away. I think we're just going to cut those. We can do those. We don't need those, especially if we're working for Druid class to go in. Return of the Wild Speaker, Winds of Abandon. And actually looking at it, I'm going to get rid of Torrens. I don't think that works super well in here. It's nice to have the counters going, but Aurak Champion, Sarah Ascendant. So that's that rampant growth stuff off to the side. Greaves, Shield, Soul Ring. All right. Not too bad so far. Soul's Attendant works. Guardian Project. Do I have anything that actually draws that? Okay. One thing too is that I don't technically have to draw a ton of cards because Trelasarra can scry me to cards that I want, but then it's sitting on top and you're like, you gotta wait. And so having something that's going to draw you a card right then is really nice. So like top is really nice. Investigator's Journal could be really nice. Some of the lands that do that. Um, that's a big reason why the Wall of Omens and Blossoms are in here, because then I can hold on to them, scry into something, and just be able to be like, okay, I'm gaining, I'm drawing a card. Um, Rim's Prayer. I don't necessarily care about that, but I kind of like animation module as a way. I kind of want to force that into the deck at this point. So let's kind of set these off to the side. Creating we'll go Jetty. I think we'll go, what is that? That's a 1/1. Enters the battlefield, create a treasure token. Whenever it enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. Let's go with Prosperous Innkeeper. We'll see if we can get that in there. And then Mentor of the Meek is nice. Or a mutation. Savala is fine. Another reason why Savala is fine is because it's that single draw that gets a scryed card into your hand. Aura Shards, Overwhelming Stampede, Well of Lost Dreams, Kodama's Reach. Yeah, I think we can cut some of the those 2-mana ramps. Kodama's Reach, Blossoming Bog Beast, Austere Command. Is that something that I care about? Am I trying to wrath or am I just trying to get through people? That might be something for Approach a Second Sun. Because it's higher CMC. I know I can't use half of this card because Trelasarra is just going to go away. Approach. Yep, I'm fine with that logic right there. Sun Droplet Suite. Shall I? Courser of Crufix. We're fine there. Great Henge draws me cards, gains me life, does all that stuff. Angel of Destiny. Cultivate. Ajani does some work in here. So I have the thought that this is a scavenging ooze, but it allows me to be a little bit more aggressive. But what do I really need to be aggressive for? Like Trelasarra is what I want to get through. Um, I think I'm okay with that. Thought Vessel. Thought I had more than that. Maybe that's the other deck. Okay. Let's see here. I think I have 3 sources to give this trample plus at least, the overwhelming stampede. So I don't think this is gonna work in here. We'll cut that pretty quick. I already have 3 versions of this. I probably don't need a 4th. I probably would just want something cheaper, so I'd be happier with, like, Investigator's Journal. Um, this is dealt damages turned to another target creature with a 1 counter. This I don't know if I like this at this point. I think it's cool, but I don't think we'll toss that off to the side. Like I was saying, I don't need to be super aggressive, so maybe that's not worth it. You may pay white if you do put a 1/1 counter on target creature. That's probably not worth it either. I should probably go and get Heliod, the new one from Theros Beyond Death. That's just better, like 100 times. But boom, I would need to proxy that because that is in my which deck is that in? I think that's in Omnath. So okay, so just slowly cutting these cards down. Let's see here. I don't have a ton of removal. Um, I have. Hmm, hmm, hmm. All right, let's go through that again. So, all right, drawing a little bit of ramp, scavenging ooze. I think I'm pretty happy with that. Scavenging ooze, essence warden, Sakura Crufix, intervention, great henge, armadillo cloak, cultivate. Johnny makes sense to me. Unflinching courage, droplet, Shalai, Selvala. Is there any different removal? This is just one of those that can be really mean, and I don't always want an index, but I think I'm so many life gain cards that I have to have something that's kind of a bit more efficient. Will of Lost Dreams, Soul Warden, Kodama's Reach. That makes sense. Mentor the Meek, Aura Mutation, Soul's Attendant, Guardian Project. Okay, let's think here a little bit. One's cast, one's an ETB. Guardian Project's really good, right? It is. Maybe that stays. It stays. Come on. Come on. I was just kidding. I was just kidding. Shield of the Oversoul, Lightning Greaves. All right. Simple enough. Soul Ring, Auriok, Sarah. Oh, I'm gonna turn off my Discord and Twitter though. Boop, boop. All right. Champion, Sarah's Tenant, Return of the Wild Speaker, Winds of Abandon, makes sense. Cryptolith Right, Aether Flux Ordeal, Beast Whisperer. I think that's fine. Sensei's Famish, boom, boom, boom. Ba, ba, ba. Pest Infestation. This is just getting rid of a ton of stuff. Making tokens. That's what it is. Whenever becomes return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, you gain life equal to its toughness. This still seems pretty cool, right? Okay. Gain life. Boom, boom, boom. Ooh. Okay. All right. This has gotten tough. Maybe all I did was how many cards over here am I changing? 1, 2, 3. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4 cards. 4 cards. Okay. So what am I liking about this? I don't have a lot of creatures dying. I can see gaining a couple life, but I don't think consistently. Like, but it is separate. This would be a separate trigger thing. These two are just gaining 1 life. I think I can just officially cut Fountain of Renewal. I'm just trying to figure out what cards I actually want in here. I still like Paradise Plume. I think it's expensive, but I'm all right with that as well sometimes. Um, especially since, doing multiple things other than just gaining life, like having something that does more than just one thing. All right, let's actually reread this. Froghemoth. Trample haste 4/4. Whenever Froghemoth deals combat damage to a player, exile up to that many target creatures from their graveyard. Many target cards from their graveyard. Put a 1/1 counter on Froghemoth. For each creature card exiled this way, you life for each non-creature card exiled this way. Hmm. I don't think that's reliable enough. I think I can get rid of that. Okay, so I still like these cards per se, and I think let's switch these over. I got rid of that Wrath. I don't know if I'm going to be happy about that. I'll probably regret getting rid of that removal because I know I'm removal light. That's why it's in there. Just so we'll go with that. Jetty Offshoot. I might regret that one, getting rid of the Jetty Offshoot. So I'll keep that one around. But once you get one of these, like whenever a creature comes into play, gain a life, Trelasarra just starts going off. So that does make it pretty important. Ivory Tower has a potential to gain a ton of life, but that's not necessarily what I care about, right? So I think that's a full cut. We'll get Druid class in here. And that should be nice. And I think animation module is going to do a lot of work for creating tokens, which in turn create life gains. You can just create an army. I like where that's going right now. So I think boom, boom, we can get rid of that. Okay, I'm going to go through this one more time. Let's see. Okay, so I think you can cut. Oh, all right. So I missed a couple here. Let's see here. Let's cut up. Okay, so Steve is saying, I think you can cut Mentor of the Meek. You have better draw in the deck. That could be potentially true. Paying 1 mana every time for Mentor of the Meek sounds pretty crappy if you already have Guardian Project on board. Yes. Yep. Yeah. If it's on board, it's great. So, like, would you guys put Mentor of the Meek, cut that, and then put Investigator's Journal in there? I don't have much more draw that I would be adding, and this is one thing that I want to do. Um, but you might be right about um Mentor of the Meek. I might have to go through and see how much draw I have in here as well. Because if I get something that just draws me a ton of cards, it's sweet. Um, but I'm not sure where I'm at on that right now because I'm not doing the breakdown of stuff. So you think Investigator's Journal is pretty nifty. Corey does. So it's cheap, but at the end you're okay. How many? So with a number of suspect counters on it equal to the greatest number of creatures a player controls. So that can sit around, just draw me a ton of cards with whatever open mana there is, to where, and that's just at my leisure, to where I'm okay with the logic. Let's try out Mentor the Meek. I still really like Mentor the Meek because it triggers off a ton of the creatures that come into play here. Um, but it doesn't mean that I can't just take it out, swap something, keep this around, and then later on, if I feel like I still like it, I can just add it in later. So you might, next time I get to it on Switcheroo, it just might go back in. I don't know. So that's added in. All right. Let's see here. Just gonna try and run through this, but no real removal there. That's a sad part. Like, hmm, hmm. Shall I like the protection. Being able to, like, Trelasarra is pretty easy to kill. Yeah, yeah. So I did, yeah. Journal from Mentor, that made sense to me. Savala, Ajani, Courser. Maybe, I mean, what's going to be more realistic? I might do Courser for Nyx Fleece Ram. I don't have anything that's going to allow me to put, like, oh, I guess I have Druid class, but showing off when I'm scrying to is not a good tell. I can say that's going to probably be bad. Is there anything else that I might prefer? I mean, it's not really. Whenever you gain life, I really want Cleric class in there, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to fit it in there today. There is kind of like a +1/+1 counter theme, but I don't have. It doesn't go wide, right? Okay. Rampant Growth, Farseek. Those will stay. I thought I had all 4 in here, but that must have been Rienne. Beast Whisperer can stay. Life Gift, Sensei's Divining Top, and Famished Paladin. Oh, you guys want to see that altered art explore that I was saying that I had at the beginning here? I should dig that out a little bit once I'm done here. Remind me. Don't let it go. Suture Priest. I like this deck. It can draw a ton of cards. So Winds of Abandon, that's basically my only Wrath. Which is okay. Ordeal. Boom, 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 boom. That's it. So the only other questionable card I have right now is Courser of Crewfix, just because I'm going to be showing off the scries, which does not entice me a whole ton. Just for the gaining a life. Maybe we'll go Cleric class. I think just because it kind of like, it's going to be gaining 2 life instead of 1, putting counters on stuff, and then I can reanimate something later on and gain life off that too. Let's go Cleric class. Super cheap. It seems fine there. But I'll keep Courser around. And I think that'll be what we have. I'll go over kind of what I added in today. Well, I'm going to probably keep these still around, so they might pop up the next time I do this for Switcheroo. So Trelasarra is adding in Cleric class, Investigator's Journal, Animation Module, Druid class, Prosperous Innkeeper, and Approach the Second Sun. I think that'll be kind of cool. Dempsey is saying, whip that batch. Thank you for the reminder, even though it was only 30 seconds ago. I'll pull out that Explore. Third. All right. Let's see here. Maybe one day I'll make a video on my my notebook of what do I got going on here. Don't want to show off too much though. Da-da-da. I'm not even drinking, but so what I did, I can talk about that too. Um, all right. So you can see it's nothing too big, but they, did the edges and kind of extended the border there. I thought it looked kind of cool. And what I got this, I traded somebody 4 Simian Spirit Guides for this Planar Chaos, and so I think at that point it was like $20 a piece, even trade. I got the better end of that. I'm gonna admit that one. So this, I don't have a ton of altars or just extended orts or whatever, but it's still a cool card. I'm happy with it. It was my first exploration as well. So I'm gonna end it here. We're at an hour and a half. I appreciate everybody coming out, listening, watching, giving advice. I appreciate it. And so, like I said, check out some of the other stuff if you're new to the Commander Smiths. And either way, I hope you have a good time. Thanks for listening. Bye.